You are listening to the Message Talk Show and Podcast. Do you believe you have something to share? Do you believe you have something to contribute? Do you have a story to tell the world, to share with your community? Gandhi said, man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So join us on the Message Talk Show and Podcast with host Alex Gordon. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 2022, we've arrived and we're here and we're ready to go. Man, it's been tough, it's been hard, and I don't know what you've been going through. I don't know the challenges that you faced, but here we must give thanks that we are here. We are sitting here, talking, and fellowshipping with each other. It's amazing. You have to give thanks for that. You know what? You don't own anything apart from, well, what do you own really? Everything around you, you can never take when you go. You never take anything around you when you go. So, hey guys, the only thing you can do is to be grateful for today, grateful for the people in your life, grateful for everything that you're about to do. Give thanks and get out there and help change the world and make it a better place to live in. Yes, your contribution matters. Everything you bring, everything you do really matters. It does. And don't think that your contribution is so small that it is of no significance. I'm telling you, it's of great significance in the world that we live in today. So, hey, thank you for being around today. So call a friend. Call a friend. Come on, man. You know the drill. Get on the phone, call your friend and say, let's jump into the show. Today, this is Alex Gordon from masteryourmessage.co.uk talking to you about public speaking. Yes, I said we're talking to you today about public speaking. We can't ignore that. That is one skill that you have to work on. No matter how good you are, no matter how great you think you are, you have to constantly be working on that skill, your public speaking skill. So today we're talking about how to improve your public speaking. Yes, how to improve your public speaking. So by now, you've got yourself a cup of coffee, you've got yourself a cup of tea. By now, you've spoken to your best mates, you've spoken to your worst mates. Join the show. Come and listen, come and tune in and make a contribution. So today, we're talking about public speaking and we're talking about the need to improve your public speaking ability. In today's marketplace that we live in, where we have, especially in the last, 24 months, where we have now specialized with online events. We now have hybrid events. Yes, hybrid events are very much part of the game now, where some people are in person and some people are on the screens talking to and looking and watching and participating. And therefore, it's important for you to get into the game. Yes, you got to get into the game. What is the game? Well, we're all speakers. We're all speakers. Some of us don't like it. Some of us do. Some of us enjoy it. Some of us don't. Some of us are nervous. Some of us are more nervous than others. But everyone has to speak. The challenge is that the message that you tell yourself, the message you send to your brain is that when you're in front of a group, especially a group that you don't know, that you've never spoken to before, you're telling yourself that I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. Do you know, I have a friend who's almost in the same industry as myself. And that person tells herself every day that she can't speak. She tells herself she can't speak online. All right. Before the lockdown, she was out there talking. She was out there doing different things. But for some reason, she's got this mental block about being online, in front of the camera, worried about what she looks like, worried about how she feels. And so she's told herself she can't do it. And for that reason, she hasn't really gone in front of the camera because she feels that she can't do it. Now, I'm telling you today, there is nothing in this world that you can't do. There is nothing in this world that you can't, if you put your mind to it, you can't do it at all. And as long as you fix it in your head that you can, then just take one step. One step. That's all it takes. One step. One step. Don't bother yourself about, oh my God. Oh my God, I've got to give an hour presentation. I've got to go 2 hour presentation. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. No. One step. Just take one step. One step will do it. One step will do it. Then another step. Then another step. Then another step. Everything is one step at a time. Yes, everything is one step at a time. So let's jump in now to what I'm presenting today, what I'm talking to you about today. Right, so here we go. So, don't make me nervous now, all right? Don't put your anxieties on me now, okay? Don't put your anxieties on me now today, okay? So, we're talking about how to improve your public speaking. And to do that, I've got on the screen something I've sat down and created and put my thoughts in, put my understanding in, and I call it the Confident Speaker Roadmap. So whenever you hear me speak now, whenever you hear me talk about public speaking, I'm talking about the Confident Speaker Roadmap. Because why? Because I want to help you get from fearful, doubtful, doubting yourself, nervous tension, to becoming a confident speaker on stage, ready and waiting to speak, ready at all times. All right? So think about it. You have to be in a state of readiness, not just getting ready, but it's to stay in a state of readiness to be able to make use of the opportunities that are around you, the opportunities that are coming to you, the opportunities that people are saying, we would like you to speak. You have to be ready. All right? You have to be ready and waiting. So, what am I talking about today? It is said, psychology today says that the fear of public speaking is the biggest fear that people feel. It's the biggest fear next to death. My God. Has anyone ever died from public speaking? Not that I know of. Have you heard of anyone dying from public speaking? Not that I know of. But it's the biggest fear that public speaking is the biggest fear that people feel in public speaking. Why is this so? Well, the reason being is that when people get into their heads that they're going to be out there, that somehow other people will be listening to them in depth, the challenge is that they become fearful about being judged. Yes, they become fearful about being judged about what they're saying, judged about how they look, judged about everything they can possibly think of because they're in front of other people. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for some people. It's a challenge. So there's this fear to get out of your head that no matter what people say about you, they can't hurt you. Okay, words do hurt sometimes. Yes, words do hurt. Of course, words hurt, but they can't physically harm you, can they? All right? So you're fearful, but let me tell you something. And my coach said this a few months ago, and I really digested this. My coach said this. He said, when you think about it, what you're feeling is anxiety. Sorry, the anxiety you're feeling and the fear you're feeling, your brain does not know the difference between what is right, what is real, and what is not real. All right? So the signals going to your head, your brain and mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. So you can conjure up a situation where you're so nervous about something that's not real. It's not going to harm you. Danger has the same effect. When you perceive a sense of danger, you become fearful because your brain, the signal goes to your brain and your mind that you're in danger. And because you perceive yourself to be in danger, you become fearful. All right? You become defensive. You're going to run for cover. Now, think about it. It's almost the same thing that's happening to you when you are suffering from anxiety from speaking, anxiety from people watching you, anxiety from people listening to you. So what if we could change the signals going to your brain? What if we could reframe those signals going to your mind so you start to anticipate a situation of excitement, a situation of what's going to happen next, a situation of this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the greatest thing that's going to happen in my life this year. Imagine if you could do that. Now, if you think about it, how do we signals feed into our mind? How do we get the messages into our mind? How do we learn? Number one, we're either visual. Number two, we're either auditory by what we hear, and kinesthetic by how we feel. And so with those three situate, yeah, never mind the smell. Yes, we do smell as well. Now imagine if you can reinterpret the message that's coming into your mind through what you see and through what you hear and through how you're feeling. You can change the situation. You no longer have to be so fearful. There's a word they've got for it. It's called glossophobia or something like that. Yes, glossophobia. You don't have to be so fearful because we're changing the signals. We're changing the situation. So you're nervous and you don't think you can do it. That's number one. All right. Now, if we adapt changes to this one step, we can change how we feel about public speaking. Number two is the focus. The lack of clear focus. Sometimes we're involved in so many different things. We're doing so many different things. We're trying to do so many things. We're trying to work on so many different things at the same time. And what happens? We achieve nothing. We achieve nothing. We achieve nothing. We don't achieve the results we're looking for properly. All right. So what if you spent more time on your public speaking skills? Let's spend the next 6 to 12 months just working on your public speaking, working on your presentation skills. What if you do that? What would happen? What would happen to you? Think about it. Have you ever been told as a child when you were at school, you're using the magnifying glass? Yes. And one of the experiments we always did with the magnifying glass was to focus the light coming in through to the magnifying glass on a piece of paper. And if you focus it so much and get close enough and the intensity of the sunlight, it can actually start to burn the paper. That's what focus does. Focus allows you to block out everything else out of your mind for a period of time to get your head into what you're doing so well that you're on fire. That you're on fire. So let's focus, guys. So the fear you're feeling, we know how to adapt that, we know how to change that. The focus that you need to have is to commit to say, right, we are going to spend some time working on my public speaking skills. No matter what you think about your public speaking right now, you need to spend some time working on your public speaking skills. Do you agree? Do you agree? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Okay. Now, the third one I'm talking about is not having a clear structure or a framework to work with. So some people, they're asked to speak, they're asked to present, they put something together, but the challenge they have, because they're not working with a clear framework of how to deliver this, it means that they're all over the place. All right? They're all over the place, and the information that doesn't come out the other side how they really wanted it to come out. Have you ever thought of this? There's a presentation you gave, the presentation you wanted to give, and the presentation that you imagined you were going to give. We are so caught up sometimes with our imagination that what we actually deliver does not match up to what we wanted to deliver. But that's because we haven't got a clear framework by which to deliver it, by which to deliver what we're doing to the public. Now, if you look at some of the big presenters out there, all right, some of the big speakers that we see on screen, that we see on TV, that we see on conferences, it's not about being perfect. All right. It's not about being perfect. You should be glad to share your failings. You should be glad to share the things you did wrong. You should be glad to just push them out there and own up and say, hey guys, I'm not perfect. I'm not a star in this. But you know what? This is what I'm here to deliver today. And when you're able to do that, what happens? It detaches itself from you. You no longer feel so pressured. Yes, so pressured in being like someone else. So pressured in being that imposter. Oh, a friend of mine today dropped on Facebook and he said he's a speaker himself and he's been up and down the country speaking in the schools and helping young people. And he said one of the things that's happened now, there is a group of young people who've never sat a written exam. Yep, they've never sat a written exam. In the last 2.5 years, they've never sat a written exam. And suddenly they got their grades by virtue of what the teachers gave them. And because of that, they now feel like imposter. They feel like an imposter. Now, I said to him, I never used to really believe that terminology. Even on the show a few months ago, I was talking to someone and we talked about this imposter syndrome. And we concluded that, somehow the speakers out there get people to spend money working on things they don't need to work on because they are being categorized as an imposter. But in this situation, he said the young people felt like they're imposters. They didn't feel like they achieved what they achieved. They didn't feel like it was real for them. And so through his speaking, he was out there working with them, working on them, working with them, helping them to think this through and to change their mindsets about themselves, to change their state in which they're operating, the state in which they're stuck. Now, that is so important to understand that when you are in a state of fear, a state of not wanting to do something or doubting yourself, you are almost stuck. You're stuck in a position, you're stuck in a state. Have you ever driven a car and you try to change gear and the car, you didn't sink the clutch far enough and the car's gritting? You're changing the gear and the car's gritting. You want to get to, say, second speed and you haven't sunk the clutch far enough for the gear change to be smooth. And so when you pull the gear stick down, you can hear the grit, the grit in the car. And the more you hear the grit is the more nervous you're getting. And you're seeing the cars in front of you. And suddenly you take your eyes off the road to look on the gear stick to think, is something wrong with the gear stick? Not realizing it's just because you haven't connected properly with the clutch. Your connection's not right. Your connections is not deep enough. And because your connection's not deep enough, you can't make the gear change. Ooh. Do you understand that's what's happening to you in real life? You're not connecting with yourself enough. You're not connecting with your thoughts enough. You're not connecting. So you get stuck in a position, you get stuck in a state, and that state is holding you ransom. That state is holding you ransom, holding you there, and you can't move. So a clear framework helps you to work through that. Now, I talk about purpose here and unlocking the key to purpose. I believe that when you are walking in what you're meant to do, you find your true purpose in life. When you're walking in your passion, you find your true purpose in life. Yeah? And let's face this, speaking is a large element of that. Speaking and connecting to your audience forms a large element of you finding your purpose, of you walking in your passion, because now you're sharing your message. You're taking your message to the world. You're taking your message to a group of people, to the rest of the world, to say, hey guys. And it doesn't matter if you're not someone who's speaking every day, but you speak intermittently. You may be speaking online. But in the world that we live in right now, at some point, you are going to be sharing your message. You're going to be sharing your story. You're going to be sharing something about what you've done, how you've done it, when you've done it, and why you did it. Man, That's going to be so powerful. That's going to be super powerful because you have to get out there and share what you got. You cannot. Les Brown said this. Les Brown said this. You're at the end of your life and you're lying there. You're lying in a hospital bed and you're sitting there. No, you're lying there. And around you is your gifts, your talents, your abilities. And they're saying to you, you never gave us a chance. You never gave the gift in you a chance. You never gave the ability that you have a chance. And you never gave the talent that you bring to the world a chance. And so what's going to happen? You're going to take to your grave the special gift that you have. You're going to take to your grave, and it is said that the graveyard is full of talent. The graveyard is full of gifts. The graveyard is full of everything. The graveyard is there, and people are not fulfilling their true destiny, their true north. Yes, let's take it. It's their true north. They're not stepping into their true north because they're not following not doing what they want to do, not doing what they came to do. And that's why I have purpose there. Unlocking the key to your purpose through your speaking. Now, let's face it. What I said before, it's about building your confidence. It's about changing your state and building your confidence to do these things. Now, I always say, and I always think about this, you probably can't see it, but there's a confidence meter. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? Where 1 is least confident and 10 is most confident. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about the presentations you give? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about the talks you do? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about the talk you're going to give today? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you going to feel about the talk you're going to give tomorrow? What I'm saying to you is that there's a confidence meter that's in you, and somehow, if you haven't done enough work, you won't feel confident enough. It doesn't mean that you can't do it, but it's about how you feel. The signals going through your own mind and through your own body, what's holding you back. So think about the confidence meter and think about being in a state of procrastination. That's when you're the most fearful. You're in a state of procrastination. You can't move and you're stuck. You're stuck. All right? You're stuck. So what will help you to get past that? I always believe that when you put a process together and a plan together, that begins to help you. You begin to work on yourself. Now, what I'm saying is here, I don't want you to become a perfectionist because that's not even good as well. You can go from a procrastinator to become a real perfectionist about what you do and stall doing anything at all. Why? Because a perfectionist can't move until everything's perfect. A perfectionist can't move until everything's perfect. I have to make sure that everything's dotted, everything. And now sometimes, it is required to make sure that it is in an almost perfect state then. But there must be a place where something is ready to go and there's ongoing development. All right? So there's ongoing development. So you don't have to get stuck in a state of being a perfectionist. But what I want you to do is to become proactive. So from being a procrastinator to not being a perfectionist, but to become a proactive person. Proactive, plan, develop, put things in place, train, develop, and practice to stay ready. Practice to stay ready. Practice to stay ready. Now, someone asked the question, what is the first step to coming out of your shell? What is the first step to coming out of your shell? Well, you know what? The first step to coming out of your shell is number 1, making a decision. That's it. Making a decision. Once you've made a decision, the next step is to follow through on that decision. Whatever that decision is about, you make the first step by deciding that tomorrow I'm going to do this, or today I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to do it. And therefore, because you've made a decision to do, you then go harness the resources to help you do. Now, I don't know about if you think about this, but there's many times when you make a decision to do something, all of a sudden the universe, the universal powers that exist out there suddenly come around to help you, suddenly come around to start focusing you for what you're deciding to do. I don't know if it ever happened to you. So you make a decision that, right, this year I'm going to start speaking. I'm going to speak to 2 or 3 events a month. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to start speaking. And all of a sudden, as you start the process, gigs start to come your way. As you start the process, invitations start to come in. Why? Because you've made a decision and you've followed through. So make that decision, follow through to get you changing your state of mind. We don't want you to be a procrastinator. We want you to move from being a procrastinistic person. We don't want you to be a perfectionist either. We want you to create, make something happen, and implement it, even when it's not 100% ready. What we'd like you to be is to become proactive. When you become proactive and you begin to prepare yourself for everything that's going to happen to you, then you see purpose is just around the corner. You see, you start to see yourself as a power speaker. Yes, I'm a power speaker, someone who's ready, waiting, out there. So how do you get to that? As I said, you have to have you got to put a plan in place. All right, put a plan in place. Develop a process. Develop a process that helps you to constantly change your state. Develop a process to help you prepare for your presentations. Develop a process that helps you to even visualize what you're going to do. So every time you're going to speak, you have a clear process that you put yourself through to get ready, that you put yourself through to be ready, not staying in an anxious state of mind. And as I said before, fear and anxiety almost come from has the same signals. When you think you're in danger, you feel fear. When you're anxious, you feel fear as well. But one of them's not going to hurt you when real imminent danger might hurt you. And so you have to protect yourself. But what we want you to do is get yourself in a state of anticipation. All right? Anticipation. Anticipating the positive things, anticipating the things that's going to get you excited, anticipating the things that's going to change your life, anticipating the things that's going to change your community. That state of anticipation, looking forward to the things that are ahead of you and not behind you. Do you agree? When you put your processes in place and you create a path for yourself, that helps with your performance. And when I talk about your performance, I'm talking about going out there and just being. Now, I don't know if you remember when Beyonce started being Sasha Furey. Yep. Beyonce developed this alter ego to help her perform on stage. All right. Not that she wasn't a great performer. She was dancing, she was doing everything she did. But she needed something to shift her state. She needs something to help her shift her state at the time when she's ready to do it. So she developed an alter ego for herself. Now, some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, but this is not about you. This is about her changing her state. What can you do to change your state when you're ready to go out there, when you're ready to speak, when you're ready to present? Do you need an alter ego that you need to develop for yourself? Now, I always think about tapping your personality, all right? I always think about when you're able to tap your personality, you know what's there. Now, not everyone's a comedian. Not everyone's a comedian. And we've got some great comedians out there that they just crack you up. But not everyone is a comedian, all right? So you perform in different ways. You deliver in different ways. So you have to find where you resonate, where your personality resonates, And once you find where your personality resonates, you perform at that level and you work on yourself. You work on yourself. You work on yourself and you get out there and you promote what you do. Agree? So we've gone from fear to focus to a framework to finding your purpose. We said we have to shift your state from being a procrastinator. We shift your state from being a perfectionist, but becoming a proactive person, a proactivist. And then from becoming a proactivist, you become a player in the game. Yes? What game are you talking about, Alex? What game are you talking about? There's only one game we're playing here. No? It's a game of life. There's only one big game we're playing. We're playing in the game of life, but we're playing from different angles. Some are speakers, some are teachers, some are preachers, some are lawyers, some are doctors, some are accountants. We're playing from different angles. And when all these angles intertwined with each other, when we bring what we have to the table, and I remember Dr. Rochelle talked about this last year. She talks about coming to the table a lot. Coming to the table. Bring what you have to the table. When you come to the table with what you have, we create a fantastic society. We create a fantastic environment. Look at some of the gigs you've been to. Look at some of the concerts that you haven't gone to, the ones you've gone to in the past, and you had such an enjoyable time by listening to someone performing on stage, singing, telling their jokes, whatever they were doing on stage. You enjoyed it, and you felt really satisfied when you left. It's the same thing. When you come with what you have, and now don't tell me you haven't got anything. Don't tell me you haven't got anything. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to listen to that. I believe that every one of us has something special. Now, whether you think yours is special or not, all right? Whether you think it's a gift or not, you have something that you can contribute to the world. It's your responsibility to work on it and find it, what you have to contribute. So let me just take you now to something else that I've got here, which I think is very helpful to help you work through what you need to do. All right. So in my confident speaker checklist, I talk about having a clear path to build your confidence. And there's only 3 steps. There's 3 main steps. And within each step, there's 3 steps. All right. So number 1 is preparing yourself. And because you are in a state of preparation all the time, and you know how to prepare yourself, and you've learned how to prepare yourself, you will always accelerate your performance. The end result will be far better, right, than if you did nothing at all. When you unlock your presence, and that's what I was talking about with Beyonce and Sasha Fierro, Alter Ego, unlocking her presence or unlocking your personality to give your best performance. Yes, unlocking your personality to give your best performance. So you understand who you are, you understand the gift you carry and what you do. And the performance you give is wrapped up in everything you do. The presentation you give, the stories you tell, the stories you share, everything you do on stage, everything you do when you stand up to speak. It's all there. All right? There's just 3 stages. And within each stage, there's 3 lots of things to do, 3 lots of things to work through to help you build your confidence, to improve your speaking ability. All right? So think about it. You have to make a decision to change your state. When you make a decision to change your state, you make a decision to work on yourself. And by working on yourself, you start to prepare yourself, you work on your presence. That will in the end improve your performance. Well, let me jump on this one question here, because I thought there's this question that I think this is worth answering. How do you overcome accidental mistakes during a presentation? How do you overcome accidental mistakes during a presentation. All right, let me throw this another way. Have you ever, when you're a kid, and as a kid, you're prone to having accidents? I used to have loads of accidents when I was a kid, falling over, tripping over, you know, tripping over, rubbing up my trousers and knees because I was on the ground. One of the things they tell you all the time is that when you fall, when you try to break your fall, you have the worst accident ever. Yeah, you feel the most pain when you try to break the fall, when you try to stop it. So if you trip and you try to catch your balance back, you're more likely to hurt yourself more than if you just allowed yourself to drop to the ground. And this is shown with young babies. When young babies fall, drop from a surface, or drop, or anything that seems as though it's going to hurt them, they don't really hurt as you and I would hurt. Because as a young child, as a young baby, they don't try to break the fall. They don't know what it's like, you know, to try and stop themselves. They just fall to the ground. They fall to the ground and they get back up. Now, why am I saying this? Because how to stop accidental mistakes on stage when you're presenting and when you're speaking is to just go with the mistake. All right? Go with the mistake. Remember I said earlier, you're not supposed to be a perfectionist. And so because you're not a perfectionist, because you've made a mistake or you had an accident, you don't suddenly turn around and try to discount the accident or avoid the accident. You go with the accident. Have you not seen some comedians what they do? Something goes wrong and then they make it feel as though it's part of the set. Now, a very good performer, a very good speaker, it doesn't matter what happens on stage. The audience doesn't know that that wasn't meant to happen. The audience thinks it was part of the game. The audience thinks it was meant to happen. All right? So no matter what happens on stage, as an accident, as a mistake, as something not working, the PowerPoint doesn't work. Don't stress on it. Don't stress on it. Don't stress on it. Just go with the flow. You can either make a flippant comment about the PowerPoint not working, but just go with the flow. Don't stop. Just go with the flow. Tap into what's inside of you and give your best presentation. Your best presentation. Why? Because everything's meant to happen. Everything's meant to happen on stage. So I'm saying to you guys to work on your confidence, to improve your public speaking skills. Now, if what I've said today, it resonates with you, then just book a strategy session with me. Book a strategy session, www.masteryourmessage.co.uk/ignite. And let's try and ignite the message in you in 2022. Ignite the presentation that you want to give. Ignite the personality that you want to push out there. Ignite the person that you want to become in 2022. Oftentimes we think there are certain things in life that's held us back. We will blame a lot of things in life for holding us back. We'll even blame some people. Yeah? We'll even blame our bosses for not promoting us. We'll even blame some people around us for not doing the task because they didn't do their job. It's affected me. But you know what? Stop blaming other people for the lack of success in your life and start working on what you have to produce the success that you're looking for. Let me say that again. Stop blaming other people for the lack of your progression, the lack of your promotion, the lack of you not getting to the next level. Stop blaming other people for holding you back and start working on what you can do to become more successful. Start working on what you can do because you're in control of it and you're in control of yourself. You can't control other people. You control what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. What you do it, what you do, when you do, and how you do it. You manage those things. Now, if you work on yourself, you become better at what you do. You become better when you do it and how you do it. And you'll make a bigger impact every time. This is Alex Gordon from masteryourmessage.co.uk, wishing you all the best and saying that this is your time and your season. This is your time and your season to book your strategy session. This is your time and your season to book your strategy session and improve your speaking ability, because who else can you blame? Who else are you going to blame a few years' time for the things that you didn't do? The things that you wanted to do and you didn't do it. You know what? It is your season to get it happen. So book the strategy session today, www.masteryourmessage.co.uk/ignite.
You are listening to the Message Talk Show and Podcast. Do you believe you have something to share? Do you believe you have something to contribute? Do you have a story to tell the world, to share with your community? Gandhi said, man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So join us on the Message Talk Show and Podcast with host Alex Gordon.
What was my last words, guys? What was my last words? I said to you, it is your responsibility to make it happen, guys. It's your responsibility to make it happen, to change your life, and to be the best version of yourself. So, Alex Gordon from masteryourmessage.co.uk. Go to www.masteryourmessage.co.uk and, www.masteryourmessage.co.uk/ignite and book your strategy session now about your speaking, improving your speaking, and building your confidence to be a better speaker. I will see you again.